the dark. Finally, I can see you.
Hi, my name is Yen Smith. I'm 93 years old, and I'm one of the survivors of the 1942 Japanese internment camps in the USA. I was 23 years old when Pearl Harbor was bombed on December 7th, 1941. A few months later, in March, a Japanese internment camp was opened just an hour away from my home in Manzanar, California.
In the arms of the angel, fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room.
On March 19th, 1942, a group of American soldiers came to my front door telling me and my fiance we had 48 hours to pack all of our stuff. We didn't know what to do, and we didn't know where we were going. On March 22nd, 1942, me and my fiance arrived at the camps. At first, they took all of our stuff and put it into a bin, and then they separated the men from the women to go to one side and the other. No! Camp life was awful. We were all crammed together, and there were many sick people as well as lice and bed bugs. The food was extremely minimal, and many people starved to death, including my... After about a week or two, I began losing track of what day it was, and I wasn't able to write my diary as often. And all around me, I saw people dying and getting sick, and it was an awful thing to see and witness. And food rations were getting smaller and smaller every day. We barely ever ate, and every single night we were crammed in the same beds. We were forced to sleep next to each other on a tight, small mat. One of the worst parts of the camps had to be no privacy. We sat there and we had to shower in front of everybody, and it was a 1-minute shower every single time. We barely got to bathe ourselves, and there was no soap to use. You just got to rinse off in water, which was freezing. It took about 4.5 years for Roosevelt to finally start shutting down the internment camps. In September 1945, the one in Manzanar, California, the one that I was placed in, was finally shut down. 15 years later, I began to forget about the events that happened in the internment camp. I never ended up seeing my fiancé, and I was told that he had starved to death. I married a husband 5 years later, and I had 3 beautiful kids. 1942, me...
We're butt buddies! Okay.
Oh my...
What kind of bees make milk? Boobies!
1990... to get over... Rachel!
Okay. Why it's going?
No!